Hi, welcome to this exclusive video in which I'm going to be sharing some time with Christian Scheuer of Soundflow, who's going to show us around the new features in Soundflow 5. We should probably start with a bit of orientation for anyone who isn't aware of Soundflow. What is Soundflow and why is it relevant to the production expert audience?
Hey, Julian, and thanks so much for having me.
Hey.
I'm really excited to be here. Soundflow is a macro application that allows you to work faster in Pro Tools. And not just faster, it also allows you to stay in the creative flow. So it makes it more fun and more inspiring to create music or edit sounds for a film, for example. I think the Pro Tools expert audience is already interested in optimizing workflows. I've read a lot of your articles, for example, on that subject. And so I think what Soundflow helps you do is whenever you have an idea, it allows you to pursue that idea faster with less distractions. The way I started with it was about 10 years ago. I was in film school and I had to click the little preview button all the time. And then I had to click on an insert to open up an EQ to make some adjustments, and then click manual right to selection, and then close the plugin again and take it out of whatever automation mode it was in. So whenever I had to make a change, it took like 20 different mouse clicks. And by the time I had done all those things, I had forgotten what I was doing. And so, it's not about it. To me, it's not just about working faster. That feels like something somebody's boss told you. You got to work more effectively.
Yeah,
that's great. And we do have a lot of users who say they save 20 to 30% of their time every single day. That is great. Maybe you'll get more time with your family. I certainly got a lot more time, free time when I started using and building Soundflow for myself. But I think the real change is that it takes all the tedious, repetitive stuff out of your creative work. So it makes it more fun.
Gotcha. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so this explains the use of the word flow in the name of the product. It's keeping you in the flow of keeping you in what you're doing. Okay, so Soundflow 5. There's a difference in possibly in emphasis, and certainly in the conversation that we've had prior to this record. You've explained to me who it is you're trying to address with this update. Tell us what's new.
Right. Thanks, Julian. That's exactly true. I think just to very quickly go over it, the prior versions of Soundflow were really powerful. Power users who were really technical could get a lot of stuff done with Soundflow. But the issue we saw was for a new user who maybe didn't want to spend several weeks setting up their workflow, it wasn't really a help. Like if what we're selling to you is a way to work faster, but you have to spend 2 weeks to get there, I think a lot of users just got stuck or didn't really, ever get the benefit out of Soundflow that we wanted. So for this release, we've focused on making the experience of a new user much, much better. And that is really done in a couple of different ways that I'll show you now.
Fantastic. I should fess up. I am that user who went, "Oh, I haven't got time for this." And in the conversations we've had, I'm on board with this actually. So yeah, please show us what's happening in the new version.
Right. The way that I think about it, just as an as an image of what we were doing before, we gave you this really powerful engine that you could build your own macros and do your own scripts and stuff like that. But it was a little bit like giving you a synthesizer, like a virtual synth with no presets. I love using Omnisphere, for example, because it has like thousands of cool sounds and I just need to click them and then it sounds good. But if you start with an init preset there, it would just go like me, like that's the actual sound it makes. And I felt like that was what we were doing with Soundflow. So the biggest focus of Soundflow 5 is that we're now providing you with a ton of content right out of the box. So we have, I think, over 1,700 macros that are already built into the product and completely designed with pretty icons. You can see here, this is our new Pro Tools main deck. And so Soundflow integrates, for example, with these physical Stream Deck devices. We also integrate with iPhones and iPads and Android tablets and phones. So whatever you see here during this demo, you can also get on an iPhone or iPad with just the same simple setup. So I'm just demoing it here on the Stream Deck because that's my preferred way of working with Soundflow. But know that you don't have to purchase a physical Stream Deck to get all the benefits of Soundflow. So yeah, the big new change here is that we've designed over 30 decks here for pretty much all major functions of Pro Tools. So we have audio suite, automation, control. You can set colors for your clips. Switch cursor tools, switch the solo modes of your session, and on and on. And so this is how it looks inside Soundflow. When you install Soundflow 5, all of this content is readily available. Another new thing that we do with Soundflow 5 to make this easier, let me just show you here real quick. This is from our new, this is a recording I did of our new Quick Start Guide. So, so when you install Soundflow 5, you're going to be greeted with this wizard, which will then take you through the steps and ask you what kind of device do you want to use Soundflow with. And then if you choose a Stream Deck, it's going to help you go through the setup. And it just takes a couple of minutes, and then everything is set up for you. And there's even a guide that walks you through how to use it afterwards.
Sure. So a guided setup process that, and that's quick. That's
before, with Soundflow, you had to watch all these videos that we produced, and so you had to learn a lot of new stuff just to get to the point of making your first macro. And then when you create that macro, you needed to design an icon for it. You needed to produce a new deck and assign triggers to it and all this stuff. So there were a lot of steps before. Now the goal is, and we've confirmed this, you can get started from you start a new trial, from you sign up on our website till you have a fully working Soundflow installation. Actually, the one that I'm showing you here in less than 10 minutes.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I was so happy when we finally got that working a couple of weeks ago. So this is here in this My Packages default package. This is the content that we add as part of the default installation. So there's just a deck for Finder with a couple of buttons here, and then we've got the My Pro Tools deck here, where you can see we have all the built-in content, and then I added a button here, and we'll get back to that later in this video on how you can customize this a little bit. But the great thing here is that you get access to all of those things with no manual setup. You don't have to do anything. Just click OK, next.
So if you want something that's just going to work and you can get back to work, then the process is smooth, and you don't need to preload with a load of reading or consuming materials. Fantastic.
Exactly. And actually, if you want to dive deeper afterwards, so this is our new getting started with Soundflow checklist. And the process that I completed, and we'll send out separate videos on how that works, but that was our quick start guide here. And so that's stricken out here because I've already completed that. But then once you're done with that, you can take our intro tour, which will walk you through some basics of the program. And once you've done that, this next flow will be enabled where you can learn how to create your first macro. And we'll be making more content in this series so that you don't even have to leave the program to learn how it works.
Fantastic. Okay, so I mean, we're looking at, for the new user, someone who hasn't any previous experience of Soundflow, someone who's been maybe put off by the setup process, that's who you're targeting. And Pro Tools users can be up and running with a load of useful, relevant tools straight away because they come pre-installed.
Yeah,
so, but you're not in any way... I just wanted to say you're not in any way dumbing down this product, though, because all the previous functionality remains if you are someone who wants to customize your setup for your particular requirements, yeah?
Yeah, and sorry for cutting off. Absolutely. And it was definitely a too technical product before. And, in some ways, it's still really technical, but we're trying to make it easier for people to get started with it and to hide the complexity. There's no real reason why it should be super technical. And so I thought what I just showed you before was sort of a static view. It might help people to see how it actually works inside Pro Tools. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but let's just check a couple of things. Let's say I want to do something with the clips, then I can go into the clip colors menu here. Let's say I want to make those yellow. I can go back, and so I can navigate through all these different folders. Let's say I want to open the first insert on that track. So I go into the inserts menu, and then I can toggle whether or not that insert is open, or I can toggle the bypass state of that insert. Go back here to the main menu and continue to do other work. I can go into transport and click play, stop it again. So with this very simple looking menu, you actually have access to, I think, more than 400 different functions just from this one screen. And just imagine having to build all of that yourself. So that's new content that you just have available.
Awesome. Excellent. So if you want to customize your Soundflow setup, but you don't want to, you just want to customize, you don't want to get into the real nuts and bolts under the hood kind of stuff. I know that you've got the collections of pre-made stuff, which has been a real hit. For example, we heard great things about the Melodyne package that Andrew Sheps did when that was released. Any changes or alterations on that side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, the community is very important for us. In our store, which is maybe a little bit mislabeled, most of the content, I think 99% of the content in the store is free and open source, and contributed by people like Andrew Sheps and Chris Shaw, and I think almost hundreds of others. We have 350 plus packages right now that are in the store. And so one of the problems we had was there's too much content. People couldn't find the quality content, and it was really messy. So the major new change is this new navigation on the left side of the store. So we have a Discover menu. You can look through the packages you already have installed, and then you can check if there are any updates to those. You can look through our premium packages, of which we'll be getting a lot more in the future. We have some really exciting things to share with you really soon. We've got now the official Soundflow integrations. So all the new content that you saw for Pro Tools here is now a package that Soundflow can update independently of our main platform. And you can already see this is already version 1.05, meaning we've already made 5 small updates just within the last couple of days as we were getting ready to the public release of Soundflow 5. So the benefit of this is we'll be able to push out new updates of this Pro Tools integration much more quickly than we were before. And then for users to find quality content, we've added this staff picks folder where we have selected some of the most popular and also highest quality packages. And as you mentioned, the Melodyne helpers from Andrew Sheps are, just incredibly well made and staple, and it saves users a ton of time. I can also recommend his session prep helpers that help you when you start mixing something. You received a session from a band or a client, and you need to get ready. I believe he said yesterday it saves him like hours of prep time.
Yeah.
As well as the track data utilities by Chris Shaw. They're really great as well.
Okay, so there's a curated element to this. It's not kind of as chaotic as just kind of like a free-for-all forum.
Exactly.
And a lot of that stuff free.
You can also sort by the app that it integrates with. So if you need something for Dolby Atmos Render, you can go through that. And as well as you can sort by the plugin we integrate with, or by technology, or by workflow. So there's a lot more ways to discover the best possible content.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I mean, I think we're orientated now with what it is, and we've mentioned the changes. Maybe we should go in a bit more detail. So, I mean, can you show us some examples of Soundflow in use?
Absolutely. So I think we've already looked a little bit at sort of the built-in content of this package and how it interacts with Pro Tools. You can see that if I switch to Finder, it will automatically switch to my Finder deck, and then I can click Pro Tools here to switch to Pro Tools. And of course, you can set up any of these to control any app you want. And I should note that this demo is heavily focused on Pro Tools, but Soundflow integrates with a lot of different apps. Essentially, any macOS app you can do basic stuff with. You can send MIDI in and out. And if you don't have a Stream Deck or an iPhone or iPad, you can even control all this from a MIDI device. If you have, even a MIDI keyboard could be used. I think this basically shows you can do a lot of stuff just by clicking through this. And I would encourage everybody to just play around with this. But a good next step, I feel, would be to show how do you customize this? How do you build your own deck? So for this, I just prior to this demo, I just added this just one little deck where I added a couple of functions. And let me just show you how easy it actually is to customize this layout. So I'll be reproducing this in a second. So let me just move this out of the way. And so here's our Pro Tools deck, sort of the one that I can customize. And let me just delete this. So I'm selected and click the delete key, click OK. And so that reference was now removed. It actually referred to this CMS deck. CMS is my initials. And so here you can see I added a couple of buttons. So let me walk you through that process of how to create your own deck. And this is also something that has been much improved in Soundflow 5. So first you click New and then choose Deck. That's the content type. Let's call this Demo Deck and hit Enter. So now I have a new deck. So if I want to add, the first step that would make sense would be to add a button to my Pro Tools deck that links to the demo deck. And so I can just drag and drop that demo deck down here. And now it shows up. And the button also already shows up on my physical Stream Deck here. Let me just put a line there. And so what I can also choose, which is new in Soundflow 5, I can choose Open on Same Device. So that means if I change the device that my Pro Tools deck should show on, then the sub deck that I link to will open on the same device. You can actually see here, I tested this with my iPhone yesterday. So since we're now using the Stream Deck, it's probably a good idea to select that instead. Right, so now I've added a new sub deck to my main Pro Tools deck. Let's just see that in action. All right. So now that's empty, and I really don't have any way of getting out of it.
Yeah.
I could switch to Pro Tools, and that would get me back. But let's just take it one step further here. So the big new thing in Soundflow 5 is that we have this pin button. And what that means is it will keep my deck open here while I navigate through other things. And so now I can just drag and drop stuff over to my deck. And
okay.
here. So if I choose the decks folder here, we've got something called Navigate to Previous Deck. And this will remember where you came from. So if I came from the main Pro Tools deck and went into the demo deck, it would go back to the main Pro Tools deck. But I could also have a link to the demo deck from somewhere else. And then the back button it's a little bit like a back button in your browser, essentially. And now we can add some stuff to it. So one thing that I want to add is these marker functions that are really useful. And another reason is they're not in any of the official decks yet. They will be soon, but I want to play around with them now. So let me just go to previous marker, go to next marker. Let's say select between markers and search markers. So those are some functions that I actually use a lot when doing film sound editing. So I use markers as delineations of scenes, and so this makes it really easy for me to navigate the session. But of course, since I've got this demo deck pinned, I could go through all of those menus or that I want to add to the deck, and you can see it's just dragging and dropping it on there. Then when I go out of pin mode, it will navigate back to where I was with the demo deck, and I've now built it. And so if I show you the Stream Deck here and I click the demo deck, you'll now see these functions there. And I can click the back button to come back. And so if we now go into Pro Tools, let's see this in action. So I can go into my demo deck and then I can navigate through the markers.
Fantastic.
And I can say select between those markers, or I can search and then start typing. I think some of them are, this is saying there's missing some Adnos, and then it navigates through. So it was that quick to design your own deck and add a couple of functions to it.
And that's very visual, and the practicality of it's well thought out. I can see the relevance of the pin button. So yeah. based around use. I like it. Okay, so I mean, what occurs to me as someone who isn't a Soundflow user at present, I'm right at the beginning of that of that experience, is this is a way to address some of those gaps. For I'm very much a shortcuts guy, for example, it's always frustrated me that there's no hotkey to open the color palette or something. This is exactly the kind of thing you could very quickly address with something like this. I mean, I know it goes deeper, but these kind of things on the surface, those irritations have been around for years. Show me how you do that. That must be straightforward.
Right. Yeah. So, all of what you're seeing now, when we saw that the Finder deck got activated on my Stream Deck here, I'll just show you. When I switched to Finder, it automatically switched. The reason why that happened is because we've set an application trigger on the deck. So when Finder becomes active, when it becomes the focused or active app, then this deck will be shown on the device selected here, or when any Stream Deck is connected. So when you start up your computer. And we have a macro here that shows the Pro Tools deck, and we've set an application trigger for that. So to show you just a quick example, triggers is sort of what makes a macro run, like when should it run, as it says here. But we have a lot of different trigger types. Sorry, let me get rid of that. And a keyboard trigger is a shortcut, essentially. But as I said earlier, we also have media triggers, or you can have something sending OSC, and you can even trigger things based on what window is active. So if you want something to switch based on if you are in the mix or edit window, you can set that up. So there's a lot of flexibility here. Maybe one of the most basic things is adding a shortcut, as you said. So that's a keyboard trigger. So now this is the Open Finder macro. So let's say I want to press Control F to open Finder. Then I just hit record and then press the keys. And so right now, this keyboard trigger has been designed for globally for whichever app is focused, which makes a lot of sense. And so if I press that, I'm launching Finder. And of course, you could add this to any of the, Pro Tools things we have as well. Let's say you want some way of telling in Pro Tools, I've processed this piece of audio, for example. So you could add a keyboard trigger to set a specific color. I'm just choosing a random keystroke here, Control D. And so if I choose, so now I can get all this functionality without having to have any external devices. And in fact, this is how I started using Soundflow. We didn't have these external devices in the beginning, but I think people are different. Some like to memorize a lot of shortcuts, and some want it to be more visual. But you have full choice, of course. Right. And Julian, just to address your question a little bit more directly, I realized I missed that. So if we go to the window menu here, we've actually got a pretty extensive way to control which windows are open or closed. As you can see here in the presets, we have, you can show the color palette. You can hide it programmatically. So that would be useful in macro. Let's say you want to start by showing the color palette, do something inside it, and then hide it. Or you can just assign a key to toggle the color palette. And maybe, let's say that's what I want to do now. So if I click new trigger and hit record, let's say Control C, So this would show up in red if I'd used that shortcut anywhere else. And so let's check it out. Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, Another example that really springs to mind is those repetitive tasks. Something that I find that I want to do all of the time when I'm doing kind of spoken word stuff and maybe editing podcasts and things is just opening up Deplosive, Isotope Deplosive plugin, Audio Suite, process and close again. To the point where I've usually just got that plugin open, hanging around somewhere on my screen, which is fine. But there are more elegant ways, and this screaming at me, I could definitely get that onto a button. That's the kind of thing that would be easy to set up. And
absolutely, yeah. And I know the scenario actually, and what I've found out. I think years ago, and I've seen a lot of people do this, have a lot of Audio Suite plugins open on a secondary screen to make it quick to process something. But that actually has the effect of whenever you have Audio Suite plugins open, they actually take some CPU from the main thread in Pro Tools. So that's it actually degrades the performance quite significantly of Pro Tools to have that many plugins open. It's maybe less of an issue on newer computers, but at least that's yet another reason to not have all those open.
Sure. So it's efficient in terms of resources as well as time if you can speed that thing up and not leave those floating windows hanging around. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly. So you had a question about Audio Suite. So I just navigate to the Audio Suite folder here under Pro Tools. And you can see we have, so I'm now just collapsing this by clicking on the arrow. We have both some standard functions, like you can, whatever Audio Suite plugin is current or the focused one, you can render that. So we can add a button for that. You can search through Audio Suite plugins, which is really powerful when you have hundreds of them. And then, as you said, we have a macro here or a template that can open, render, and close a specific Audio Suite plugin. And so all the code has already been written for you. You don't even have to look at it. If you do, you can click View Source here, but let's ignore that for now. So now once you've selected this, you can click Add a new preset, or you can take one of the existing ones, look at how they work, and then click Edit a copy. And so all of these are factory presets, and that just means they come, installed with Soundflow. And down in this folder under My Presets, this is where you can create your own, versions of or presets for this template. So you could create as many as you want for Isotope or for any other Audio Suite plugin.
Awesome.
So I just I'm using declick more than deplosive. So I set this up, and to show you, you have to select a couple of options for this preset. You have to give it the category and the plugin name, and these have to match exactly what you see in Pro Tools. So to show you what I mean, when you go through the Audio Suite menu, we have noise reduction here, and then I'm using dark mode, so this is a little bit hard to read. But then you've got RX8 declick here, spelled in exactly this way. So it's a little bit annoying, but you just have to type it in correctly. And then it also has the option to select a preset in your Audio Suite. So you could have different buttons or keystrokes for different presets of deplosive, if that's what you want, like maybe a stronger one and a lighter processing. You can also choose the input and output modes. And so for something like this, where you want to keep the handles so you can edit afterwards, clip by clip and create individual files is probably what you want. But if you want to do something like reverb and you want to have a tail on it, you would have to use entire selection and create continuous file. So you can make sure that those settings are correct as well, just in this easy interface. So let's first just run the declick, and then we'll make a copy of it and to be deplosive. So if I just click, and by the way, I've assigned Control X to this. So I'm clicking Control X. It opens up the plugin and renders. And because clip by clip was already selected, it didn't have to change that. So it was quick. And you can see now it has the declick there.
The suffix, yeah.
So I'm just going to select this now and hit Command D to duplicate. I'll double click here just to rename the preset. This has no effect directly on what it does. It's just to keep track of it here. And then to change what it does, I'll type in deplosive. So this should now work. For this, let's add it to our deck that we designed before. So one way you could do that would be to navigate back to your deck, find it, and then you could get lost, like where was it that I created this content? So you can always use the back button here to navigate back to where you were. And there it was, Deplosive. Another new thing in Soundflow 5 is you can just simply add it directly to your deck here.
Nice.
So let me just select the demo deck, click OK, and now it's added it here. And so it got the RX declick icon because I had already set that and we duplicated it. So let's just navigate back to the command here. That was the icon for the preset. Let's just make a quick icon here, Deplosive. I'm just going to take, it should be fairly quadratic here, or square-ish. So I'm just copying that, and then I'm setting the icon from the clipboard. And you should probably design something prettier than this, but it is a quick demo. So now we've got the icon on this, and that should automatically update in our demo deck here. So it just to show you that you can pin your deck and then walk around and drag and drop stuff into it, or you can find, as we did now, you can find what you want to add to your deck and just click add to deck.
So yeah, really straightforward, very visual, nothing too scary. And I mean, of course, we're taking quite simple examples here, but these can be built up into longer, more complex actions if that's what you need to do. I sort of want to show that to you as well, but let's just make sure what we built works. Yep. One thing we could do to make a simple macro for this would be to process with Deplosive and then change the clip color. Okay.
Right? Then I've already done this. So this is another new feature in Soundflow 5. You can, as you saw, you can pin decks, and that makes it easy to drag and drop stuff into it. But you can also pin a macro and drag and drop steps into your macro. So let's build a new macro, and let's say Deplosive. Right. And so in the old way to add macros would be to click add action here. And then you get, as you can see here, like 344 different things you can do, which is a little bit overwhelming. So that was the earlier way you did it. Now you can pin a macro, and then we can go down to our preset here. And let's say we just drag and drop it over there. And so this will open, render, and close I'll just plug in Deplosive. And now after that, we want it to color it purple. That's it. And now let's just add this. So I can add it here, but since it's in the same package, I'm just going to drag it over. And when you're in the same package, you don't have to pin the deck. You can just drag and drop here. And let's just call these TP or something, Deplosive. And let's see if that works. I actually haven't tested this, so let's hope. Let's take a shorter portion.
Hey, there we are. Perfect.
That's always great.
Nice,
when you improvise in a demo.
I get it. I think we're kind of there on what some key differences between 5 and 4. I suppose we should talk about if somebody's intrigued by what you can do with this. There's not a great deal of commitment involved in giving it a go. You have demo available and all of that good stuff with this 10-minute onboarding. It's not a huge commitment to give it a fly.
Yeah, you get a free 30-day trial. And if you've been a user before, or let's say you had a trial before, but you weren't convinced or you weren't ready at that time, we're resetting all trials prior to the launch. So you'll be able to have a go again. If you have some kind of question or it isn't available to you, that new trial automatically, just make sure to contact us via the chat down here on the website, and we'll see what we can do. But to get that free 30-day trial, you just click sign up here on the website, and it'll take you through the rest of the steps. And I should say that Soundflow is a subscription where you pay month by month, but you can pause or cancel it anytime, and we won't delete your stuff. So if you have a long summer where you're not working and you don't want to be paying for it, just cancel your subscription and come back later, and it will be like you never left.
Awesome. Okay. We've said a lot on this video. There's of course things that we haven't said. Where should I go if I want to find out more about either getting on board with this, or actually if I'm already a user, where can I find out more about getting better at using the tool? Where are the resources?
Right. So there's a couple of great places to start. We really prefer our forum here, and so it's hosted at forum.soundflow.org, or you can just go to soundflow.org and click forum. And in this, we currently have over 6,000 threads with over 40,000 posts, and it's just this amazing community. And I'm so thankful to everybody who's contributed. It's grown from nothing 4 years ago to being this amazing community where people ask, how can I achieve this workflow? Or I work this way. Is that the best way? Can you help me make that faster? And so it's more than just finding out how to use Soundflow. I think a lot of people learn how to use Pro Tools better thanks to this forum. And yeah, as I said, I can't thank the community enough for that. It's quite fun. There's a community member who says, "Where's the button to send massive thanks to the Soundflow team?" So I think that just shows you the warmth of this community. Some people are scared of online communities, but we've worked hard to make this a place where everybody feels welcome. Another good place to go is our Learning Soundflow playlist on YouTube. So we've got 26 videos and counting of all sorts of steps that you should go through to learn how to do the more advanced things.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I mean, it's been really interesting to talk to you about Soundflow. It's been on my to-do list for a long time, and with this easier setup and get working straight away, I'm in. I'm going to be exploring. And thank you so much for talking to us today, Christian. It's been great.
Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
so head over to the article if you're not already on it, and check out the accompanying text and links. But for now, thanks again, Christian, and look forward to exploring Soundflow 5 and 6 presumably at some point soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.